The Unmasked Talk Show with your host, Casandra Barrett, with guest Lamar Barrett. And now, your host, Casandra Barrett.
Hello, everyone, and thank you. Thank you. This is Unmasked, the talk show. I am your host, Casandra Barrett, coming from you live from our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. This is an extraordinary program. It gives me an opportunity to speak with something that I love more than anything, which is college basketball. Today, I actually have the creator of Unmasked, the Untold Stories of College Coaches, Lamar Barrett, coming to us. He will be able to give us some tidbits of how he actually started the docuseries Unmasked. So after these few words from our sponsors, the next person you will see is our special guest, Coach Lamar Barrett. The first episode in the first season of Unmasked, the talk show. I am your host, Casandra Barrett, and as promised before our commercial break, I am going to bring out our special guest today, the creator of the Unmasked docuseries, The Untold Stories of College Basketball Coaches. So our special guest today is Mr. Lamar Barrett, also known as Coach Barrett. Even though he is the creator of Unmasked, the docuseries, which is on YouTube, youtube.com, he also has an impressive and extensive resume. He was a high school basketball coach in Prince George's County, Maryland, for 6 years. He was an assistant men's basketball coach at various universities for 16 years. With his last one being at Hofstra University, located on Long Island in New York. So without further ado, let's all give Coach Lamar Barrett a round of applause as he comes to the stage. Hello, and welcome, Coach Barrett. Is it okay if I call you Lamar?
Yes, you can call me Lamar.
Well, thank you, Lamar, for being our first guest on our first show of Unmasked, the talk show.
I want to say thank you for having me. I've heard about this talk show for a while. I'm glad it started, and I'm excited that it's under the Unmasked umbrella.
Me too. Thank you so much. So everybody is super duper excited about the docuseries Unmasked, the Untold Stories of College Basketball. But the first thing I have to ask you is, where did the idea of Unmasked, the Untold Stories of College Basketball actually originate?
It all started this pandemic season. There has been a lot of Zooms. I've been on a lot of Zooms, and actually I've come across a lot of new individuals in the coaching profession from all levels, and I was on a particular Zoom sometime back in early May, and I was invited on the Zoom a gentleman actually asked me a question. He didn't know who I was. And from that moment, and I'm gonna give the person a ton of credit. There's a few guys that helped me originate this. Cam Daly out of Atlanta, Georgia, who was a workout guy. He asked me a question about, current profession as me in scouting, and it led to some assistant coaches asking me questions, and I was kind of giving them the real story or all the information you need to know about college basketball and all the untold stories. And a lot of guys thought that was true. They wanted to hear the real story. And so from that, that's how Unmasked generated. I found out that people love to ask questions, or they love to listen to stories, and they love to tell stories. And so I came up with the idea of being a former assistant college coach for 16 years. How do I get these guys' stories out, especially guys who have a chance to be, move up a level in college basketball, or even have a chance to be a head coach one day. So that's how the idea generated or originated, and it took off from there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So I've watched most of the segments of the docuseries. I am a fan of college basketball. I always have been. And you and I have known each other for a very long time, approximately 18 years or so. So I have known all of the ins and outs of college basketball for a very long time. So hearing it from your perspective was one thing, but hearing it from other perspectives, it opened my eyes up a lot more. So I'm going to ask you this next question. And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because so far you've had 33 released so far. So when did you actually start the production? Because you've released so many episodes.
It actually started recording, or I started taping June 1st. That's when I started with a few of my close friends in the business first. They were all, I discussed the idea with them for a couple of weeks. I had them on the show. I started doing 10 interviews a week, 2 a day. And from there, it kind of took off. And for the next 8 weeks, I had production. And I ended up doing 80 interviews in those 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I released 33 thus far. And, and I still got several more to do. And so it actually started June 1st. I think my first one was released on June 9th, and it comes out on my YouTube channel. It started on June 9th, and like I said, it's been a lot of buzz since June 9th.
Okay. Now, for all of our viewers out there in television world, can you tell them why they should watch it? Why should they watch Unmasked, even if they're not in college basketball?
Unmasked, it has a ton of information in it, and whether you're aspiring to be a college coach, if you're in the business world, it's so many nuggets that's dropped. For a young guy who's trying to get into business, they need to understand what it entails in this college game. It's not just the guys, the guys that's just wearing the shiny suits that you see on TV. Everyone sees the finished product, but no one knows or have an idea what goes on behind the scenes or what's the life like of a college basketball coach. It's so much that goes into it. And one of the things, the first questions I like to ask, whether you were a former assistant coach or a former head coach down back to an assistant, one of the first questions I like to ask is, after human resources, after you've gone through orientation, what happens next? Because no one gives you direction in college athletics in general. So what happens next when you walk into that office for the first time, and now like I said, no one tells you what to do. What do you do? And so that's how it gets started. And then a lot of guys tell stories. We talk about recruiting. We talk about scouting reports. We talk about, just the different individuals to come across your life and path, the different information, like, you know, what's the best knowledge or best information that was ever given to you. And so it gives not only inspiring college coaches, but also individuals in the business world, professionals, just inside information of what it takes to just be successful.
Right. No, I definitely understand that because, you know, just before I actually met you, I'm thinking that I didn't never looked at the finished product. I always looked at the finished product, I should say. I never looked behind the scenes. And so having that opportunity to see behind the scenes, it actually does give everyone some great perspective on college basketball and all of the traveling that you do and all of the relationships that you build, not only from the rest of the coaching staff, but also from the players that you come in contact with. And I guess since you have been, or you did coach for so many years, I know you have so many stories about the players in general about that. But we will get to that the next time that I have you on the show, which will be soon. All right?
Yeah, I definitely, and I want to say this before, you know, we even, before we leave today anyway, but, you know, a lot of it talks about how to balance your work life because, you know, coaching isn't for everybody. It's 365 days a year, but you're working 355 to 365 days, 360 days a year. There's rare that you get breaks. Even when you go on vacations, you could attest to that. Like, you're still on the phone, making sure you're getting kids to campus, still recruiting. All of those things play into it, and you have to have someone that's understanding. A lot of people always ask, like, you know, how does your marriage work? How does having a relationship with an individual work? Because there are times like I'm not the normal, or I wasn't the normal individual. These young men, these coaches they can't go to their friends' weddings. They got to plan everything around. Like, you know, people ask like, hey, we want to go to this show. You can't plan your events because it's almost like you're a doctor. You're always on call. You're always on duty. You never know if you're going to get that 2:30, 3 o'clock ring in the phone call in the morning from a kid who's done something he wasn't supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that go into play. But right. The one thing I take from all of these guys and as myself is passion. It's not a job. There's a passion to these guys. It's something they love to do. And that's why, it becomes exciting for those guys all the time. And, you know, the DACA series, the Unmasked, you know, I'll say it over and over again, it's very educational, it's very therapeutic, and it's very entertaining at the same time.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I'm pretty sure that people that are watching it will get an insider look on how you, I guess, ebb and flow in your life, in your personal life and in your professional life. So I appreciate that. Thank you. So we have a surprise for you. All right. So our surprise is we have a segment entitled, Here's What They Think About You. So because of the pandemic, our street crew couldn't be out on the streets of our nation's capital to ask people how they felt the first time they saw Unmasked, the docuseries of the Untold Stories of College Basketball Coaches. So I actually reached out to a few of college coaches to see what their take of Unmasked is. And so this short segment, it features 8 college coaches or former coaches or friends of the game, I should say, to give us what they felt about Unmasked, the Untold Stories of College Basketball. Take a look.
They think about you. Here's what they think about you. Here's what they think about you. Here's what they think about you.
LB, hey man, I wanted to congratulate you thus far on all the great work you've done with Unmasked. Hey man, you've always had a gift to connect people and to establish relationships with folks of all walks of life. And this was just another platform for you to do so. Unmasked has been great. I've been enjoying watching all the interviews and the podcasts. I've learned a lot about several people. Gotten quite a few nuggets for myself, as well as had the opportunity to share some nuggets with some young coaches. I think it's been probably really great for, young coaches to have aspirations of getting into college or aspirations at different levels to move up. I think it's also been very refreshing for guys that have been in the business, like myself, for some time, to hear a lot of the older coaches, or I should say more experienced coaches, tell their stories and to share how they've persevered throughout the business thus far. So congratulations, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Looking forward to listening and seeing more interviews in the upcoming future.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Safed Castra, and I'm currently 22 years old and a student manager for the Rider men's basketball team at Rider University. I'm here to you today to speak upon Lamar Barrett's mini docuseries titled Unmasked. Unmasked, from my perspective, has been one of the best YouTube channels and series that I have watched in regards to basketball this entire quarantine. Lamar Barrett is a first-class individual, and his series is first class as well. He brings on several college basketball coaches from all levels to speak upon the business itself. For me, getting into the business, you hear a lot of people mention that you don't want to get into it. You have no idea what goes on. And I never wondered or questioned their thoughts and ideas when mentioning that, right? After watching this series and watching several videos, I have now gotten to understand the reason why these college coaches say that to the younger guys, such as myself. For me, this docuseries has been the best thing, basketball developmental-wise and educational-wise, that I've watched during this entire quarantine. And this series started during this quarantine. I look forward to continue to supporting Lamar Barrett's mini docuseries, and I pray and hope that the rest of the country gets fined in tune with this series. And I think people internationally can learn and get informed about this as well. From the laughs to the giggles to the good and bad, from the miserable days to the happy days to the funny days. I mean, this docuseries dives deep into every single aspect of college basketball. Lamar Barrett, I hope all is well. Your series is one of the best, my man. Let's continue to support it and grow it.
As a high school head varsity coach, as well as having the privilege and honor to coach with one of the most successful programs in the country and on the EYBL circuit, Nike Team Takeover, Unmasked provides an amazing introspect into the life and experiences of a college coach. It is the dream of high school AAU guys such as myself to coach on that level and beyond. And Unmasked gives an unprecedented and unparalleled insight on that. The podcast really answers the question, is college coaching really for me? And am I connected and prepared to coach on that level? At any rate, Unmasked is a must-watch podcast for aspiring basketball coaches on all levels. Each episode, you take something different away. The college coaches really do a great job of discussing their different interactions with parents, student athletes, administration, the staff as a whole, the community. It just gives you a great insight on really what goes on in the underlying situations that occur as a college basketball coach. Again, I want to thank Coach Barrett for bringing this podcast to life and providing another perspective for aspiring coaches to actually learn and actually current coaches, because current college coaches, I feel, can learn from each other and learn how to become successful and more successful at doing what they love to do. Again, Coach Barrett, thank you for creating Unmasked, and it's a great podcast full of learning and full of knowledge.
So, you really want to get into college coaching? Well, have you seen an episode of Unmasked? If you haven't, I advise you to do so quickly, because it's just going to prepare you for what it is you want to get out of college coaching. So far, Lamar has done a lot of episodes, and the thing that I think is most intriguing about that is everybody, male or female, has a different story on their path to this game. The questions that he asks, you're going to get answers that you never thought of. I know I did when he asked me a couple questions, but it's so many different things that we forget about that goes into college coaching, but you get it all on episodes of Unmasked. Lamar does a great job. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And not just because I've done an episode, but check it out because you want to get better at your craft. Unmasked. Make sure you watch it.
My name is David Bentley, and I'm an assistant coach at Hargrave Military and also with the Upward Stars Adidas 3SSB team. Unmasked has really helped me learn the ins and outs of the business from people that have been there, and really helped me see the parts of the business that people don't really always talk about. Everyone sees our business and sees the climbing the ladder in March, but we don't see the dog days in January and February, and the long nights after a road trip, or the bus trips and having to eat, at a restaurant or something. So Unmasked has really helped me see the parts of the business and make sure, as a high school AAU coach looking to move up, that this is really what I want to do and something that we're passionate about. And so LB's done a really good job of getting a wide variety of people to share their experiences, share the highs and the good things, but also share the parts that not a lot of people talk about. So I've really enjoyed Unmasked and look forward to the rest.
Hey guys, how you doing? Eric Rogers from the Seven Cities Pro-Am, Norfolk, Virginia. If you want to know about the life of an NCAA coach, this is the show for you. This is the show for you. Each episode, Lamar says, after human resources is over, with little to no direction, what's your next move? And that's where I like to start the show. That's where I really like to start paying attention to the responses from each coach, because the show really picks up from that point. Lamar, keep up the good work. The coaches enjoy it. Fans enjoy it as well. And it's some really great content. Keep up the good work. Salute.
Congratulations, Lamar, on your 30th plus episode of Unmasked. You and your staff have done a great job of informing and educating individuals that are interested in becoming a Division I college coach. I think you've done a great job of taking that digital platform and not only informing people of what it's like to be a college coach, but actually giving them the real ins and outs and day-to-day of what it takes, not only to get into the business, but as well as just sustain and stay in the business. I wish you continued success, and I look forward to more episodes to come. Take care.
Unmasked. When I first heard about Unmasked, I thought, okay, another interview program, the same old, same old. But when I watched, I must say, I found it to be more than expected. The one thing I saw in every coach's interview was their passion and love for the game of basketball. Being an educator both on the high school and college levels, I had many discussions with young men and women that showed interest in a career in coaching. Now, what I can do is just direct them to Unmasked for all their answers. The information each coach gave during the interview was very informative and a tremendous asset to anyone interested in coaching. One of my favorite questions in Unmasked is, looking at what you now know, what would you tell your young self to prepare for as an assistant coach? The reason why I like that question is because if someone's interested in coaching and can take all those answers and advice from all those great coaches and use them as a what to do guide, they'll have an awesome start because they'll be learning from someone else's mistakes. They're pretty much getting a great head start. You know, I've been living in my own little world and haven't seen many of the coaches in a while. So it was really great to tune in and see Brewster Flint. He's now at Kentucky. Congratulations, Coach Flint. Shane Nichols from Hofstra, who is now doing his thing at Murray State. Mike Farrelly, who's at Hofstra. But even though I see Mike often, I never knew his background. So it was good to know where he came from to where he is now. And Pat Sellers, also, I've known him from Hofstra, but now at Fairfield University. Congratulations on your position, Pat. And my soror, my friend, Denise King. Coach Denise King is up in Massachusetts doing her thing at UMass Lowell. On and on and on. What's special about Unmasked is that it gives young men and women the insight on what it takes to be a coach. Most people are looking in from the outside and have no idea how much obligation it takes to be a coach and how much sacrifice. Coaches sacrifice their time. Each coach talked about the sacrifices, whether it was around the clock, not spending enough time with their family, not spending enough time with their children, but everybody had to make a sacrifice. But then again, the reward is doing what they love, coaching. Not only coaching, but traveling all around the world, just meeting new people, and, working with their players, getting to mentor those players and building up their strong character. And these are people that will be in their life forever. So, congratulations to Coach Lamar Barrett, and I can look forward to many more interviews. To everyone out there who's coaching, keep doing a good job. Peace and blessings.
Welcome back. I am Casandra Barrett, your host of the Unmasked Talk Show. So, Lamar, since you said I can call you Lamar, thank you. How did you enjoy Here's What They Think About You?
I thought it was awesome. You had some people in there that I probably didn't expect, to be honest. Actually, two of the guys were already on the show. Mm-hmm. Seeing some old friends that I hadn't seen, and I'm glad they were checking it out, and so it was very exciting.
Well, that is very good. They were really excited when we reached out to them to ask them if they would be willing to give a short testimonial about how you have impacted their lives or how the show Unmasked has impacted their lives. So thank you so much for being our first guest on the Unmasked Talk Show. I appreciate that. For all of us out there in our television audience, please watch the first 33 episodes of Unmasked, the docuseries, the untold stories of college basketball coaches. And until next time, continue to get unmasked.